welcome. Drink with James, episode 180. A woman who needs absolutely no introduction. One of the original OG queen bee of the influencer space, Danielle Bernstein.
I love that intro.
I was riffing, that's from the heart.
Okay.
I didn't even write that down.
We've known each other for a very long time.
A very, very long time. You have been in this thing, as long as I've been a part of the space, both as a, when I was a Tumblr blogger and we were all doing the Tumblr thing.
God. I actually never had a Tumblr.
You didn't?
I was on it because I loved pulling inspiration from it, but I never had my own.
You were like the first, we're not going to go into, I just said, we're not going to go into the past too much because you were on the podcast and did an amazing job telling that story.
Thank you.
But you were so early on that, and I think that
10 years ago.
Let's just, I think that's something that pisses me off about people. Let's just get into it.
Okay.
I think oftentimes influencers are disparaged, right? People don't think what they do is that serious. It's not a job. You're just taking photos of yourself. But nobody was doing that on Instagram. Nobody was documenting their daily outfits on Instagram when you started doing that, right?
Yeah, I think my first Instagram photo ever was a picture of my 18th birthday cake. So I didn't even know exactly what I was going to use the platform for, but the second I noticed that I started having more viewership and impressions on my Instagram versus my actual blog, I started taking it seriously as a business.
Yeah.
And realized that this is something I should focus on because I was reaching a lot more people a lot faster.
Yeah. And it was this, my internet, when I got popular on the internet, it was very much about are you a photographer? Are you an illustrator? Are you a writer?
You had to be one thing.
Yeah, what are you putting into the world? It was about your output. And you started being this is me, these are my outfits. And it's about that. It's about my style and me. And that was has been such a huge shift just in the internet. And there weren't many people doing that. There were fashion blogs, but they were just taking photos from Vogue and
and talking about trends or runway, what they were seeing. I think that, yes, it started as this is my outfit every day, and it was strictly outfit inspiration. Then obviously as I grew and my following grew, it became more lifestyle, and it was more of where I'm eating, where I'm traveling, what I'm wearing to specific events, and it became a lot more following my life.
Yeah. And as I sat preparing for this, and thinking we're not going to talk about how, your journey of how you got here, but I think something that I'm interested in, and I think that probably the people who are watching this want your life, right? I think that if most people watching this could snap their fingers and have your following and, have your platform, they would do that. But what is it, I think I'm interested to know, what is the reality of that?
A lot of people look at it and, it looks, I say my Instagram is the editorial version of my life. And if you really want to know what's going on every day, that's Instagram stories. And that's the reality TV show that is my life every day as I portray it on social media. But it's not all glamorous and perfect. Not at all. We work so hard every day, we being me and my team. And there's so much that goes into the content that you see me putting out there that I don't even have the capability or time to show all of it. And so to say I just want her life, there's so many parts of it that people don't know and don't get to see every day. And of course, everything, the grass is always greener, and it all looks really nice and pretty on Instagram, but you don't know what somebody has going on in their personal life or what they have going on. So I think in that case, Instagram has not been good for our society and has really created this sort of sense of always wanting something that you're not. And I think the taking away likes and all of that has sort of brought us back to, okay, everybody can be their own person. You don't need to go double tap everyone's photos and wish that was your life. And you can just sort of take a deep breath and relax a little bit.
Is there anything that you miss about not having a following?
I'm not a celebrity, right? So I go out and yes, everywhere I go, I do mostly get noticed by one or two people. It's never I'm never getting hounded by people or have people waiting outside my apartment building. But I guess sort of the sense of privacy and people think they know me really well. which they know a huge part of me, but I miss people necessarily not knowing everything.
What do you think people get wrong about you? Because people have...
My personality a lot. I think I am, and I portray myself as this really strong, hard-headed, like blunt, like I'm not bitchy, but I'm very strong. And sometimes that can be taken the wrong way. And I think part of me writing my book, which is coming out in the spring, is me sort of like peeling back those layers and showing people who I am and a little bit more about my personality, talking them through my personal relationships, my family, my parents' divorce, like all of the things that sort of made me who I am. Mm-hmm. But really, like, my followers don't get to see the very sensitive side of me that cries sometimes and this. And like, I try and show it when I do, but when I'm crying, the last thing I want to do is pick up my phone and be like, I'm crying right now because of this. And
well, I'm sure you'd also get shit for that.
And then people are like, woe is me, like your life is perfect. And I'm like, no,
sad
it's not.
Little rich girl.
Yeah.
You know.
People think that too. Also, a lot of people think I grew up rich. That's a whole other thing. I did not at all. Once my parents got divorced, there was a lot of belt tightening behavior that there are after divorces. And I was given a budget. I mean, all of this is in my book, so I don't even want to say too much about like my upbringing. But yes, compared to most of the world, I grew up extremely comfortable. But a lot of people call me like this little rich girl. My parents haven't supported me since I decided to leave FIT. I've been supporting myself fully. Yeah. So I'm self-made.
Yeah. And I mean, I think I wanted to talk about the book, so I'm glad that we talked about that. You just announced it in late October, right? And it's coming out.
It's called This Is Not a Fashion Story, and it comes out in May.
In May.
Early
but you
May.
Can pre-order it now, I think,
You can pre-order it now on Amazon, yeah.
And did you want to write it was it a creative expression? Was it something that was just in you? Was it that you felt there was misconceptions out there and a story that you couldn't tell on Instagram?
It's both. It's my way of sharing the part of me that people don't know, which is why I titled it This Is Not a Fashion Story, because fashion is just a small part of my life. It was always just such a small part of my life. It just became my career and it became what I was known for. So my story is not just a fashion story. It's so many other things, and you'll be able to see that with reading the book.
Fantastic. You're someone that like does not inspire like no emotion. I feel like people either are obsessed with you or they really don't like you.
Yeah.
You know, and
lots of haters.
Lots of haters. I mean, more than is normal. You know, but also more obviously love and passion than is normal for a normal person, right? Yeah. Normal influencer. I think that is what's made you grow. You have this like, you're a bit of an enigma, I think, and people are trying to figure it out. And they either are like really invested and they're interested, or they're like, I'm going to keep following because like there's something I don't like here.
Yeah. Because even the haters are very invested.
Yeah.
Like there's Facebook groups about me that are like fully like anti-Danielle Facebook groups. Yeah. I've seen them because one of my...
I mean, you've had all of this
I've seen all of it. I mean... First of all, I always say haters mean you're doing something right. And like one of my main quotes when I'm speaking on panels is like, hustle until your haters ask if you're hiring. Mm-hmm. Because I just think that it just powers me to like do better, do more, and to like prove them wrong. But it's hard. It's not easy. Yeah. I, of course, get upset and emotional and sensitive about it. And I've broken down and cried. And I stopped going on those Facebook groups, and I stopped really looking at it because it was just really not good for my mental health. And it makes you feel really insecure. Yeah. I'm only 27. I've been doing this for like 9-10 years. I've grown up in front of the camera. Not to compare myself to a Kardashian, but like I can understand the similarities in, growing up in front of an audience and having them judge every part of you, every different age and year that goes by. It's just not easy.
Yeah, most of us get to grow up in anonymity.
Yeah, and then when you're your best self, then you put yourself out there, right? You pick the time where you're like, now I'm ready to like show myself to the world. Like, no, like I chose to start sharing myself at an early age. Looking back now, I'm like, holy shit, why did I wear that? Or why did I do that project? Or why did I make that decision? But it's all out there. And I think that my flaws and that part of me is also what makes me really relatable, which is why I have the following I do.
And I'm just interested, like, did you feel that growing up, like before the following, before Instagram, did you feel like you were someone that inspired strong emotions in people? Like, Or is this a product of being successful?
I don't know. I was always the leader of my group of friends, so that I guess sort of explains it a little bit. But I never remember being, I actually do remember being someone that people either really liked or really didn't like. I had a lot of best friends that just really understood who I was at the core and took me for all that I was. And then I had a lot of people that just really didn't like me. So I think, yeah, I guess it has been for a long time the same way.
I mean, best people are. I mean, most people hate me. So
I don't hate you.
A lot. Thank you. A lot less people know about me than know about you. So you talked about being relatable. And I was joking before you came here. I said, I personally have no interest in being relatable. I think that it's a weird thing that people just like, especially influencers, you're supposed to just be meant to be like, you have to be relatable. That is like the gold standard.
Yeah.
And your life has become unrelatable. I mean, that is a fact.
Well,
right?
Yes, my life has become unrelatable, but I am still a relatable person. And with my style and what I choose to wear, yes, it's become more expensive. And I've heard from my followers, your style has become unobtainable. And I'm like, I still wear high and low. I'll still wear Zara with Gucci and H&M with Tom Ford. And I'll still mix that high and low. It's my job and my obligation, I feel like, to my followers to maintain that. So I've actually kind of like pared it back and been like, all right, if I'm wearing Gucci shoes today, my jeans better be like $100. Yeah. Like it just, I want to maintain my relatability because it's what's made me successful. But I have a huge project coming in 2020 that is my way of sort of giving back to my followers and bringing my style to the masses. Nice. So without saying much, I'll be announcing it in February. And it's, an extremely relatable project.
Amazing. I mean, I do think that your content, you have stayed so consistent. And maybe actually there was a time a few years ago where I could see, your content changing, but especially recently, it's back to like it's outfit photos, a lot of it's iPhone. It feels, you always tag brands, which a lot of influencers don't do.
Can we talk about that for a second though? Because I will, and okay, for like my German influencer friends have hit me up when I've posted about, why don't other influencers tag brands? They have to put a nonce or ad on every single photo they do if it's a gifted item even. So if they decide to tag the brand, they have to put hashtag ad. I can understand why that would be hard. But for American influencers where those rules necessarily don't apply to us, why are you not tagging the brands that you're wearing?
This is your job.
It's your job. They're like, oh, because that brand's not paying me. I'm like, but they might pay you if you tag them, or like it might lead to that, but people are going to, they want to know what you're wearing. So for influencers to not tag the brands they're wearing in every photo, that takes away the entire purpose and point of their jobs. Yeah. I just don't get it. And it frustrates me so much to any influencers watching. Please tag your brands. Tag your brands. It's so easy. You don't have to do it in the photo, do it in the, not in the caption, do it in the photo.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's something that like you have stayed true to that. Like, I think that like, my girlfriend's a devoted follower, as she was like, oh, can you introduce me to Danielle when we were here at the party? And for her, she loves your style and she loves that. Like,
she was wearing like that Frankie Shop tank top, I remember. Yes, yeah, she's so cute.
You always tag the brands. Yeah. And I think that like you kind of understand that like you still have that service mentality to your followers of like, this is what you want. It's a service. I'm going to give this to you. Every day you're getting an outfit photo.
Yes.
And
you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah. And I think that, while your life is wildly different than when we met, the content feels similar. And that is what made you popular. And I think it's such a simple thing, but that so many people lose as they get successful. The content totally changes. Everything changes. They stop doing the high-low and now they're just wearing designer. Yeah. And the followers are saying like, this isn't for me anymore. This is just for you. You're just like flexing on me.
Which, by the way, if you are posting just for yourself, then you're asking for just a specific amount of people to follow you, and the growth won't be there. And that's okay. Maybe that works for some people. But if you want to keep growing, then you need to be consistent.
Yeah. You don't need to start a technology company. You have obviously been very successful. But you went out and did something that is totally different than, even you've had clothing lines, you've done body art, you've done recently watches, you've got the swimwear. All this stuff is in, clothing style.
Like expected almost.
Yeah, expected.
Yeah.
And then I hear, Danielle from WeWoreWhat is starting a tech company. I'm like, wait, what? Now, if someone's going to do it, it makes sense because you never stop hustling. But like, why do that?
So the reason Mo Assist came to be, short, we just call it Mo now, was I was with Joey, a friend of mine, another influencer, micro-influencer, about 2 years ago. We were sitting at the table with Mo there, and he was explaining his frustration with not having an assistant and being so unorganized, and he didn't know what project he had coming up or who he had to tag. And we were just like, he's like, I just need a Mo. Like, everybody needs a Mo. And I was like, everybody does need a Mo. And Mo has been with me for 6 years, my intern turned assistant, turned chief brand officer, and she's more my boss than I am hers. And I thought to myself, like a light bulb went off. Literally, I had a light bulb moment. I said, why not put Mo's job into a platform? And there's so many systems out there that are project management platforms that work for big corporations and other industries, but none of them that fill the specific needs and workflows of influencers. Why has there never been an office tool created for this industry? It's because it's so new. And even though I've been doing this for 10 years, you've been doing this for X many years, like it's a $12 billion industry and growing, yet there's no like practices in place on how things should be done. And who better to build that than someone who's been building the industry too?
Yeah.
And so found a developer, started creating the product right away. And we really wanted to create this like end-to-end solution for influencers to get organized. We built it for influencers to get organized. And it's everything from adding a new project to invoicing and accepting payments all in one place. Whether you use just the project management or just the invoicing or just the payments or just the collaboration feature, like once those discoveries are made between brands, which is what you guys do, where are those being managed, right? You guys have something you use here, but not the other marketplaces don't. And there's not one place for everyone. So if we could sort of be the universal tool that people use to stay organized in this industry, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And how long did it take you from light bulb to launch, I think, what, four months ago or so?
Yeah, like a year and a half, I guess, from like idea to actual creation, because we had built an initial product with a junior developer, tested it with a few influencers, kind of proved our concept, and then went out and hired like a very senior development team to build the product that we eventually launched. Raised money for it. I joined like a startup program so that I could learn how to run a startup. Like, I knew what I only knew about starting a tech company, but like found the right people to advise me, had the right investors, like strategic partners that really guided me in the way things should be done.
Who is it? Is this for all influencers? If I have 1,000 followers or 1 million, or do you have a kind of customer profile that you think this is perfect?
So yes, it's for all influencers. Who we have found using it are the micro influencers. So like anywhere from 10,000 to 250,000 is kind of the sweet spot right now. But like my team uses it. My agent even uses it. Like she hacked it to sort of have like an agency version of it, but we will eventually build that. And yeah, we're really finding that it's most useful for people that don't have an agent, manager, or an assistant, that are really like this one-man show.
Yeah. And I mean, to your point, there are tools out there to project manage, but not built. I mean,
we were using Google spreadsheets, like Excel, like Outlook, like we were using like 20 different things to stay organized. Now everything's in one place.
Yeah. And I assume the response has been great.
The response has been amazing. We're going out for a Series A in February to kind of get like that rocket fuel to build and build faster and continue to grow. But yeah, it's been overwhelming.
And I think that, I wanted you on here because obviously I think the people watching this show are in that sweet spot. When Rachel Strugitz, who's a good friend of ours, I think wrote the launch piece for you.
Yeah.
And wrote our launch piece as well, which is funny.
Yeah.
Reached
she's
out.
Always like champion the
and she's like, what do you think about this? And I was just like, this 100% needs to exist. It's insane that it doesn't exist. So I was so excited to hear that you were building it. I think we don't know what exactly we're gonna put together yet, but people watching this, and if you're in the Fohr community, we want you to use it, and you're gonna give some way to make that a little easier to try it out.
For sure.
And if you don't have the right tools to stay organized and to run your business effectively, like you just can't win.
Yeah.
You know? And
It's really about creating efficiency and allowing for faster growth.
anything been surprising? You know, you've built a lot of companies. Has there anything been surprising about building a technology company?
Everything. I mean, the decision to be an LLC or a C Corp, how to raise money, what a safe note was, what pre-seed was to seed, like just all, I guess, the raising money, funding, putting together the deck for investors versus like other partners that we had get involved, like just the ins and outs of putting together a tech company, working with developers, the back end, coding, like all of that.
You enjoying it?
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's very fulfilling. I think, being an influencer is also extremely fulfilling, but I've been doing it for so long. So I kind of was ready for that next, what is going to really drive my passion right now. And this is doing that.
Yeah. And, you said something earlier. You said, look, I'm not a celebrity. Like I get recognized. Is the goal for you, when you think about your future, is it, building multiple brands? Is it building a brand? Is it being in an office? Or is it, being a bit more of a free agent, being able to travel and kind of just do things that are interesting you in that time?
I think that I'll always be like very business focused and entrepreneurial. So I think I'll keep building businesses. I think that that's really where my passion lies. But yeah, I want to be able to eventually have kids and be able to be a mom and like be able to have been successful enough to maybe work differently, not less, because I don't think I'll ever be able to work less, but to really be a lot more picky with what I choose to do. And honestly, I don't know what the future looks like. If you asked me 2 years ago, I would have never said I'll be a tech founder in 2 years. Like I have no clue.
Yeah.
My brands have become such a major project for me. I love designing, and I never thought I'd be a designer. So I don't know.
Yeah. I think something as well that I'm interested in, and again, that I think would be hard for most people. Most of the people don't start things because they're afraid of failing, right? And those failures happen to a crowd of a few people.
Yeah.
100 people, pretty small scale. If you have failures, happen on a much bigger scale. And as we've already said, there's people looking for those failures. Looking to...
And I actually talk about those in my book. Like I had a failed shoe brand. It's in my book, the whole story of why that failed. I think it's really important to share those failures because they're what you learn from the most. Yeah. And you'll never have those failures if you don't take risks. So you have to take risks. You have to just try it. It's like, what is the saying? Ideas are ideas are everything, or an execution.
Ideas are meaningless.
Execution's everything.
Yeah.
What is the quote?
I don't know.
Something like that.
Is that something, again, like, is that something that was inherent in you? Were you always someone that was a risk taker and not afraid to fail? Or is it something that you've kind of built like a muscle memory for saying, you know what, I have to try new things and that might mean it fails, but that's okay?
Yes, I think I've always been a risk taker. I've also been like a follow your gut taker. I always, like, if I feel like it's going to work, then I do it. I really trust my gut wholeheartedly.
And I think something that is part of the book is inspiring other women to follow their dreams, to live different lives and build businesses and kind of try and live a more true life. Is that something you hear a lot of, that you get women or men that are reaching out and saying, hey, thanks for the inspiration?
Women, it's mostly women that are messaging me on a daily basis, just saying that, like, I inspire them to keep going. I inspire them to try something new and and just take the step forward in this new venture of theirs. And it makes me so happy. I just the other night came home from one of my holiday dinners after a glass of wine or two, started reading through my DMs and was like crying at not even being able to believe that I could influence someone in such a way besides just their style, really with their life and business decisions. And I remember being at this panel at this big media company, and this girl came up to me and she said, I would have never gotten this job if it wasn't for you. put my like foot forward. I didn't stop till they said yes. Like, it was cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think it can sometimes feel like, yeah, you're just like helping people figure out what to wear.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you start getting those messages, you realize you're having a real impact on people's
and
lives.
It puts a lot of responsibility and stress on my shoulders, like, because I really do feel like I'm a role model for some people, and that's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. Is that, I mean, again, do you you're obviously still enjoying that, but does that ever feel like too much, that you just want to like live without that expectation?
Yes, because I have to be very careful with what I say and be politically correct. And I mean, even, you know, you just have to, now in the world we live in now, like everything is taken so personally, and everyone's very sensitive. So I do feel like I have to watch what I say. And I can't just go out and get wasted. Like, someone might know me at the bar and I might do something stupid. Like, right. I don't know. Like, I do feel like I have to behave in a certain way, but the misbehaving is what's gotten me to where I am. So it's really about finding like the right balance. I mean, my motto's always been like, work hard, play harder. Yeah. Like, you have to enjoy life.
Absolutely.
And I do. So I think it's just about like finding the right balance.
And I think that something that's come up on the show a few times is just how to respond to negative feedback.
Yeah.
I think you've done a good job. Do you usually engage with it? Do you usually let it go?
It depends. If something's really weird and negative and just like something I don't want to even be seen on my profile for my other followers to see, I'll just delete and block the person. Yeah. I have no shame in that. Yeah. For example, I posted a hair tutorial a few days ago, and it was about how to do my hair. Everyone was commenting that my concealer was too bright, my under eyes, that it looked too bright. I was like, this isn't about my makeup, but like all these people were commenting about how bad my makeup was. And so I kind of went on my stories. I guess I was feeling a little more sensitive that day. And I was like, listen, guys, like, I was posting about my hair and you all commented so negatively about my makeup. It makes me feel more insecure about putting myself out there. And like, this negative feedback is unwelcome. If you have constructive criticism on a different concealer I should try instead, then fine, let me know. I love that. But just saying like your eyes look like a panda is like that's not welcome. And then the next day I had thousands of messages of people being like, no, we love you. Who cares? Fuck the haters, whatever. And so I did the, you know, on your iPhone where you hear da 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 da, and it like zooms in on it on like my concealer when I was doing my makeup in the morning. So I think people liked to see that, like, even though I got kind of sensitive about it at night, I could also poke fun at it myself and not really care. Yeah. So it's both.
Yeah. Well, look, I am constantly impressed and amazed with all that you do. I feel like you've unlocked some like quiver in the universe where you get to live a day in like 35 hours. I don't know how you do everything, and I'm still not convinced. I get asked
that all the time. I'm like, there's not enough time in the day. I know.
I'm still not convinced you don't have more hours in the day than other people somehow. You figured it out. But thank you so much. And to everyone, you're going to get a little something to make it a little easier to try out Mo. Again, need to get on this tool. I've played with it. It's very cool. Super impressive.
Thank you. I love the shameless promo happening
Absolutely.
Right now. Buy my book. Follow me.
Buy the book. Follow her.
Buy Shop WeWoreWhat.
Yeah, send me things. Also, let's not forget about me. It's my show. Send me whiskey. What else do I need? I don't know.
What do you need? You don't need whiskey. You have a full bar over here.
I got nothing. The bar is empty. Don't listen to Danielle. There needs to be refreshments. Anyway, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.